All right, so we are live. I'm going to go ahead and wait for the webinar to go ahead and build, wait for everybody to join on in. I know we've got a few people on here. I just want to say thank you for taking the time to be on this webinar. Thank you for taking the time to really dedicate some time to your health and to learn what exactly works inside your body. So I need to wait for a few more people to join in. We've got quite a few people that registered, quite a few people that really wanted to be here. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of go through my little story really quick while I wait for the audience to build up. If you don't know me already, my name's Thomas DeLauer. I'm well known in the health and fitness space, in the nutrition space particularly, mainly known for my research in the world of inflammation, in the world of digestive health, and now more recently in the world of like mitochondrial density training and things like that in terms of helping your cells become much more effective at utilizing energy, therefore becoming much more effective at burning fat. So the whole purpose of this webinar, just for those of you that are already here and those of you that are already watching, is to teach you about the things that are already working inside your body that we can tap into. You see, I got into this industry, got into this world because I was quite frankly really tired of food marketing and really tired of internet marketing telling us how we need to live our lives and telling us what is healthy and telling us what isn't healthy. And we have to go back to original science at some point. You know, we have to go back to what is tried and true and what works. And that's physiology, what works inside our bodies. And that's what I'm really here to promote and really here to talk about. So I'm going to go ahead and stall for another couple of minutes because I see the audience is still continuing to build. We had a lot of people register. I understand that a lot of times whenever you join a webinar or anything like that, technically speaking, it can be a little bit funky at first, getting the lay of the land with an actual webinar to begin with. Now, if you guys do notice, just to give you kind of a layout of the tech side of things, there is a chat area. I just ask that in that chat area, you try to keep quiet until I ask a specific question. The reason that I ask that is simply because it distracts me because I usually like to answer questions. And if I'm on a roll talking about what I need to talk about, if I see a question pop up in the chat box, it can really throw me off. So, all right, we are definitely filling up. We've definitely got a good group of people here. So I think what I'm going to do is in about 1 minute, I'm going to get started with the actual PowerPoint presentation and talk about some things a little bit more and be able to break this all down for you. So hopefully everyone can hear me okay. If you can't hear me, if there's any tech issue at all, go ahead and in that chat box, type in if you can't hear me or anything. If you can hear me, just stay quiet. But I just want to make sure there's no issues before I move on into the fine and dandy fun of what we're going to talk about here. So looks like everything is looking okay right now. You see there's one. Okay, so we've got, looks like April is here. April's able to see everything. All right, cool. All right, we're good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on a screen share here for a moment. I'm going to pop over to a little presentation that I wrote out. And the way that I'm doing this is simply to break it down in simple steps so that you understand exactly what I'm explaining so that everything really makes sense. And it looks like, okay, now we just had a big chunk of people also just join in. So let me go ahead and get right down to it. All right, I'm going to start with the presentation. And if people join in later on in the game, they can always watch the replay later. So I'll go ahead and share my screen here. So let me double check. Make sure everyone, can you see my screen? Okay, sure here. Cool. All right, so everyone, basically what I want to talk about today is what I call the root of our health and fitness. And I'm going to break it all down for you. But essentially what I'm explaining here is, you know, what we haven't been told. We've constantly been told things by food marketing. We've constantly been told things by blogs on the internet with how our bodies work. And the thing is so much of it is pseudoscience. So much of it is things that we're thought to believe and things that we really are there to instill fear in us. And that's not always the truth. So the whole purpose here is to help you unlock what's the potential on the inside of your body, meaning how your cells work and what you already hold within your body just by changing simple things with your eating to really turn you into a top performer in pretty much every aspect of your life. But for those of you that don't totally know who I am, I felt like it was worthwhile to take a minute to explain who I am and what's kind of happened in my life to really put me where I am today. Before I really dive into the science, I just think it's important to have some credibility. So this was me about 8 years ago. So I was working in the corporate healthcare world. I was started as an executive recruiter, then I owned an ancillary lab services company. I was having a lot of success in a corporate setting. And that success, I think, allowed me to turn a blind eye to my health. And I started as someone that was very healthy and fit. And over a short amount of time, I ballooned up to 280 pounds and was not exactly feeling very good. I was your typical desk jockey working a 9 to 5, sitting at a desk, and I was miserable. And I met a couple of interesting people through my career in the healthcare space that allowed me to really learn some interesting things about health and fitness from an angle that most people don't ever see. And that's aside from quite frankly, angry, disgruntled physicians that were upset with some of the changes that were happening in healthcare. So they were telling me all these things about inflammation, about what insurance didn't want people to know, and all this stuff. And it was illuminating, but it was a catalyst for me to change my life. And that's why, after changing my life and losing close to 100 pounds, I dove into research and how I could not only change my life, but take what I had learned to change other people's lives. And this photo right here is me at UCLA with Dr. Schistel and William Whittemire. And what we're studying here, kind of irrelevant, so I digress a little bit, but we are looking at a particular strain of bacteria, Lactobacillus 456. It was a very cool bacteria that's allowing us to keep probiotics colonized in the colon. Anyway, this is just a picture showing me at UCLA. So I've dedicated my life towards that world. Obviously, I've been on the covers of multiple fitness magazines and health magazines and health journals and things like that, but I like to focus on the brain side of things more than anything. So the problem was two things when it came down to losing weight, when it came down to changing my life, and when it comes down for other people to change their lives. And I think if we can address the issue and we can understand exactly what the problem is, then we can start being that much closer to making a change. So the image on the left indicates big industry, okay? Lobbyists, food marketing, the dairy industry, the wheat industry, the grain industry, all of those things, okay? Because they're feeding us the wrong kind of material. And I don't mean the wrong kind of material in the way of food. I mean the wrong kind of skewed marketing that leads us to believe certain things are healthy and that our body runs a certain way. The second thing on the right is the internet, okay? With the advent of the internet, our health declined dramatically, okay? Overall, our health just declined as soon as the internet became more popular. But in the recent years, the internet has flourished with so many different conflicting messages that have us so dang confused. Now, tell me if I'm speaking to you or not, because this is probably going to make sense to a lot of people. You experience analysis paralysis, where you are looking at one thing on the internet and then you go to another site and it tells you another contradiction on what you just read, and you just freeze and you say, I don't even want to waste my time trying to make this change with my health because I hear it from 5 different sources. Well, my whole focus is let's bring that back down to the root of how our bodies actually work and stop thinking about it externally and thinking about it internally. Hopefully you guys can still see me, everything good. And okay, so I looked at a couple of people in my room, they all say that everything's good. So now, when it comes down to fixing these issues, we have to understand what the root problem is. And in this picture, I thought it was kind of interesting is this little like hazmat suit guys standing on a potato, indicating, GMOs and things like that. And I'll get to that in a second. But, day in and day out, we're exposed to things that are not our fault, right? We're exposed to toxins like BPAs, GMOs, diotoxins, DDTs, heavy metals, all these things that we're consuming. And the big issue really is simple. I mean, it's if our bodies are spending all of their energy mechanisms fighting off toxins, then there isn't enough energy to go around for assimilating nutrients properly. You think about it. I mean, our bodies are, quite frankly, fighting off disease, toxins all the time from everything we're exposed to. So our body can't even have the energy to absorb what it needs to absorb, which means our metabolism slows down. You think about it like that. So maybe you've experienced some of these issues, and these are just a few, obviously. I could list a million things, but bloating or bloating after eating, holding a lot of water, things like that. My personal favorite, because it's so common, is a resistance to calorie reduction. No matter what you do with your calories, nothing changes. It's like the weight just adds on. You still continue to feel cruddy. You can't get your body to change. Or maybe you just flat out have poor energy, which again, is kind of ambiguous because we all get tired. But if it's chronic, it's a big thing. And this exposure to things that are causing inflammation in our bodies, which inflammation being that word you've probably heard a lot, is so unbelievably critical. We have to control that. Now, I'm going to pop off a screen share for 1 second, just because I want to make sure that everyone is still here. Making sure everyone can hear and see. Looks like we're all good. Bill, I know you said you just arrived, so I know people are a little bit late. I just wanted to make sure I pop back on, let you guys know that I am live, make sure that this isn't just a presentation. And if you have to go for any reason, I hope that you don't. I really hope that you don't. There will be a replay for just 1 day. So anyway, I'm just getting down to the good stuff. I just wanted to pop back in here and let you know I'm still here. This isn't a recording. This is real. So I'm going to share the screen again. I'm going to pop back over to the rest of the slideshow. Can be bad. And we know that, right? I mean, it's not rocket science that even some healthy foods are not good. I mean, if you eat a gluten-free cookie, it's still a cookie, right? But the thing is when we eat the same foods over and over and over again, we begin to create these antibodies to these foods. And as this presentation goes on, you're going to learn a lot more about antibodies, but we create antibodies to these foods. Eating, let's say, for example, brown rice over and over and over and over again, eventually your body starts to develop a resistance just like it's a disease, and it starts to fight it off. And you, therefore, internally create these own toxins. This triggers an immune response which sends your body on high alert. Well, what happens when you're on high alert? Okay, cortisol goes up. Your cortisol levels go up. That means your body's in that stress fighting mode, that starvation mode, that fight or flight mode. Not the best time to ever be building muscle or burning fat. Your body wants to store it. Now, there are a number of these foods that can cause this, but the one that I want to focus on just for the small amount of time right here is the one you're looking at right in front of you. And it's pasta, but it's also just plain gluten. Okay, now I'm not here to talk about gluten and why gluten is just bad. I'm here to talk about gluten, I'm here to talk about dairy, grains, and everything that could be affecting you. Newsflash, I'm affected by almonds. Okay, almonds are a healthy food. I'm affected by them because I know that I'm affected by them. I'm going to teach you how you can do that here in just a minute. I'm going to teach you that whole process because that's the whole point of this webinar. But I want to explain something about gluten, okay? See, it comes back to the antibodies again. Gluten has been so modified that our bodies don't recognize it anymore. So it takes on the shape of antibodies that already exist in our bodies. And these antibodies look like antibodies that attack the thyroid. So I'm trying to explain this as simple as possible. But we consume something that already looks like an antibody, meaning something that's already triggering your immune system to be on high alert. Your body is going to see more soldiers coming in to fight that battle. So it's going to automatically assume that because it needs more soldiers to fight that the battle is getting bigger, which means that it's going to send more reinforcements on its own, meaning this small infection that was just going on in your body has now blown up into a massive scale infection just because you've added something that looks like it, a decoy. And what does the one particular molecule when gluten attack? That's right, it attacks the thyroid. And the thyroid regulates our metabolism. That T4, that T3, everything that regulates our metabolism, that keeps us warm, that burns fat, that gets us energy. Yeah, gluten affects that. That's just a big blatant example, okay? So this is my wife, okay, just so you guys know. This is Amber after just changing some inflammatory foods from her diet. She wasn't, I wouldn't call her overweight by any stretch, but you can see she was bloated, okay? She was holding a lot of water. This is my wife, so I'm allowed to show this picture, okay? So, and those of you, I don't know if you watch on Facebook or anything like that, but we just, she is pregnant. We're expecting in fall, which is awesome. And so really excited about that. But anyway, so allowing your immune system to actually do its job makes some big changes. Now, this is just one example, okay? The problem is that other foods we eat cause similar issues. And the path to fixing these issues begins with one major thing. It truly is. It's understanding inflammation. And you've probably seen a lot of my videos on Facebook. You've probably seen my YouTube channel that is ginormous, talking about inflammation all the time. Now, inflammation, that immune system, everything I talk about there, that is inflammation at its core. You may think it's like when you bump your elbow and you get red and swollen, but it's really more about what's happening at your cellular level. Inflammation is the root of all disease, but it's also the root of what allows us to be healthy or unhealthy. Even the Center for Disease Control is starting to say now that inflammation might just be the biomarker that dictates just about every disease, but is definitely linked with obesity. If we can control inflammation, that internal swelling, we can control how our body assimilates nutrients. Now, for 1 second, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pop back to presentation here. Here. I'm glad that you're understanding this. So I do want to pop back now and then just like this and say hello. Make sure you guys know that I'm here. Make sure you know that this is live, that this isn't a recording. And that way it just allows me to touch base with you guys. So inflammation is something that's affected my life, it's affected my wife's life, and it's affected the hundreds of thousands of people that I've worked with. And it's very, very important. So anyway, I just want to come back and reinforce that just so I can look you eye to eye and talk about that. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to the presentation because I'm on a groove. So bear with me 1 second. Okay, I talked about getting stung by a bee or bumping your elbow. Imagine this happening in your cells, okay? Your body can have so much inflammation that you don't even absorb healthy foods that you eat. This is also known as a leaky gut, okay? I can talk about this more, but what does this potentially lead to? Get ready for this, okay? When you have so much inflammation that you don't absorb the healthy foods you eat, what does this potentially lead to? Starvation mode. Now, the reason I have these images is because they may not look powerful at first, but they are powerful. Now, that's actually Chris McCandless on the left in the movie Into the Wild. I thought it was a good dictation of what this is, a good indicator, right? This is when he's starving in Alaska on that bus, and it's a powerful, one of my favorite movies. But anyway, when you actually starve, you're much less likely to look like Chris McCandless on the left, and you're more likely to look like these fine fellows on the right, okay? Now, this may be extremes, but your starvation, okay? Cortisol levels increase, so your body says, uh-oh, this guy's going to be in a time of fathom. He needs to store as much body fat as possible to make sure that he can survive. Then, after a while, then of course, your body starts to eat away. But for a while, you actually gain weight. So step one is to reboot your body. And that's I'm going to get into exactly how this kind of works, okay? You eliminate the foods that cause the issues and allow your body to reset. Kind of a generic statement, right? So we have to learn what these foods are, like what cause these issues and what foods actually will cause the inflammation in your body for you as an individual. And if you can remove those foods, then you get your body a chance to actually heal for a minute. Then you literally have a clean slate. Then you are in a position to actually make a difference with your body. It's like, how many times have you tried dieting or tried different things and nothing happens, but you feel like you're indebted to yourself because you've spent so much time just destroying your body, even with things that are unbeknownst to you, and you can't make a change because your body's not clean. So think cleanse, but with real food. Okay, so the idea here is to help your body lower its inflammation guard so that you can potentially absorb more nutrients. Now, I'm explaining some things. So once your body is rebooted, that's when you can start introducing foods to identify which foods affect you. So let me explain this in some detail, and I'll give you some examples. So if you were to do some form of a cleanse or a detox for a little bit, at that point, you are in a perfect position to eat a very baseline diet and start introducing foods one at a time. And you want to listen very closely to your body at that point in time. You see, if you have too many variables or a control, or you don't have a control, then you'll never know what's affecting your body. So like, for example, I wrote a reboot protocol. You guys have probably seen it. This isn't right here. This isn't a pitch or anything. This is just to show you. Like this person did the 7-day reboot Monday morning, weighing 138. 4 days in, they dropped 8 pounds. Okay, they wrote that comment. Well, the whole point of that was simply because this is what inflammation does in your body. It causes these kinds of issues. You constantly have this inflammation that's causing you to hold on to water. And now moving on to the next step here, I'm going to lay out the step-by-step structure, starting with the tackling of inflammation and then moving on into lifestyle and how you can aggressively attack this inflammation, aggressively attack the issue, but then move into a lifestyle that actually works. So here's the outline for redefining how your body stays healthy, okay? Step one, control the inflammation and the foods that cause it, okay, as an individual, okay? Step two, identify the foods that will likely continue to cause issues. So for me, I found that almonds were an issue for me. If I have too many almonds, it's going to stall my fat loss. It's going to stall my muscle building. It's going to stall my mental clarity. Step three, incorporate the right kind of exercise. working smarter, not harder. And I'm going to explain that in a little bit. I'm talking about things like foam rolling, things like strategic yoga, things like the right timing of exercise. Work out smarter, not harder. Okay, everyone just wants to crush it at the gym. That's not the way that it works. Okay, we need to time it right so it works with our bodies and with our nutrition. Step 4, adopt a fat adaptation plan that gets your body using fats for fuel as it's more efficient. You've probably heard of ketosis, things like that. That is a very long-term sustainable approach where you can actually eat things like eggs, eat things like mayonnaise, eat things like even bacon realistically. So let's move forward here. So step 1, we go back to a baseline diet where you can establish a control and know exactly what you're eating. So if you don't have a pen and paper, you should write this down. If you should grab one. And essentially, we want to go no dairy, no grains, no nuts or seeds. It's aggressive, it's intense, but it's only for 7 to 14 days, okay? And I call that baseline eating. And then what you do, after 7 to 14 days of eating that baseline, you continue to eat like that, but you introduce one food type at a time, one at a time. So for example, this would mean introducing only nuts for a couple of days and then monitoring the reaction. Now bear with me, I'm gonna hop on over back to over here. So I apologize for people that may have had technical issues getting on this. Webinars are a pain in the rear sometimes. Guys, everyone that's just joining in, I was just explaining, I went from 280 pounds, lost a lot of weight, dove into research, and here I am today. I speak to large groups, speak to hundreds of thousands of people, a lot of times online, about these kinds of things. I'm just getting into the good stuff. So let me hop back over, just wanted to pop in, say hello, let you know that I'm here. Screen share is coming back on, okay? Then we introduce nuts for only a couple of days and we monitor the reaction. But here's step 1, continue. After trying a new food, you're gonna wanna monitor yourself for a reaction, okay? After 7 to 14 days of eating that style of diet where, like I showed you before, where people lose 8 to 10 pounds in a few days, that's very anti-inflammatory. That's why you're losing so much weight. I want you to try eating these new foods. Try eating some almonds, then watch your weight, see if it goes up, see if you bloat, see if you fatigue. If you do, 86 that food, get it out of there. You're probably having an issue with it, okay? If you feel a reaction, it's probably a food your body doesn't like. And then I want you to repeat this process for, of course, nuts, for nightshades, for grains, for dairy. So we're talking about even nightshades like tomatoes, things like that, grains, rice. Don't even introduce wheat. Just keep wheat out of the equation. Dairy is a big one. I talk to probably 90% of the people that I talk to, that I work with, whether it's one-on-one or they buy my programs, they are always talking about, hey, Thomas, I went clean and then I introduced dairy and I was bloated. I had a rash. I'm like, okay, well, that's a perfect indicator. You've reset your body, your system's pure, and now all of a sudden you eat this food and your body's screaming at you that it's a bad thing. Okay, step 2. I already kind of mentioned this, but keep careful note of the foods that did cause a reaction or an issue, okay? Leave them out of your diet for an extended period of time so that your body can recover, okay? So we are talking about letting your body heal, okay? Letting the leaky gut actually heal. Because if you're constantly cutting open a wound and tearing open a wound, it can never freaking heal. We have to let it recover. So don't feed yourself almonds if you found that almonds were an issue. You have to be diligent and strong. Have an accountability partner, have someone, but that is critical to allowing your body to heal. Remember when you were a kid and everything worked, you could eat whatever and you'd lose weight? Well, here we go. You know, the reason it's not happening now is because you're damaged goods. And if you don't let yourself fix, then you never will. And again, it's not your fault. Like I said, we've got so much total cruddy food marketing coming at us that's allowing us to never really understand what's happening. So the purpose of this webinar is to illuminate that. So this can allow your body to start absorbing nutrients better, which means you're going to actually get what you need out of that salad, get what you need out of those greens, out of that cucumber, out of that carrot, everything you need, okay? Step 3, work smarter, not harder. So many people want to just grind at the gym. I always love, there's a quote that I like that it says, everybody wants to be a lion until it's time to do lion stuff. Meaning, you know, everyone has this aspiration of going and just crushing at the gym or crushing it on the treadmill or getting fit, happy-go-lucky out walking. But then when it actually comes time to work, they don't want to. Well, thing is it's just a matter of taking the steps and doing it right, okay? You don't have to be grinding at the gym. You may look at pictures of me as Thomas and say like, wow, he spends probably 6 hours in the gym or all day in the gym and just grinds all day. Newsflash, I'm like 30, 40 minutes in the gym and my workouts aren't as intense as you might think. This is a picture of my lovely wife, Amber, foam rolling, which is a huge part of her routine, even more so now that she's pregnant, and I'll explain a little bit more about that. Fat and inflammation move around in the lymph system, okay? So if we want to flush out inflammation and fat, we need to be doing things like foam rolling, okay? That actually gets the lymph fluid flowing. Do the math, okay? If fat and inflammation move around in the lymph system, then why is aggressive workout the best way to burn fat and move inflammation? If we want to expel it out of the body, we want to just gently get the lymph system flowing. And I'll show you, I have programs that explain how to like work the lymph system and stuff like that. So here I say again, do the math. Mobilize fat and inflammation equals mobilize lymph. Okay, so if you want to get the fat moving, you want to get the inflammation moving, you get the lymph moving, which is done by foam rolling. This is the kind of thing that Amber's doing. So you see this picture, she's rolling around on her quad, and I'm instructing her. This is from the Vitality Protocol, one of the protocols I wrote. And here she's rolling out another part of her quad. Here she's rolling out her hip flexor. These little movements, yeah, they may look easy, but if you ever have done them, you know that they can be semi-painful because you're putting pressure on muscles, and it's actually more workout than you think. Step 4, become fat adapted because your body is a lawnmower. You think I'm crazy yet? All right. I explain why your body is a lawnmower. And let me actually pop off a screen share here for 1 second again and say hello to all my friends that are here. Reason that I talk about the lawnmower, and I have to come back live and talk about this because it makes more sense. If you've ever had a lawnmower and you need to start it up after it hasn't been started for a while, you know how you have to prime the fuel tank, right? You prime the fuel lines. You press a little primer button, and it gets the fuel into the lines, and then the lawnmower runs. Well, your body's the same way. So if you get your body used to utilizing fats as a source of fuel, well, then your body is primed to run on fats, which means it can start pulling fat from your tissues and use them as energy. Pretty fascinating. So your body is like a lawnmower. That's what that process means. Now let me turn the screen share back on, pop back over to burn fat, but only after you've solved the inflammation issue. So we've heard people talk about ketosis and using fats for fuel before. Okay, the word ketosis, it's popular right now. Everybody's talking about it. I think it's kind of a hype right now. It's amazing. I'm a fan of it, but it is a hype right now. Simply put, by eating more fats, our body becomes more conditioned to use fats for fuel by helping the mitochondria. Science talk for a second. Told you that I'm into science. So mitochondria, it's the energy powerhouse within the cell. It is what dictates how a cell uses energy. Well, guess what? The mitochondria functions well on fats. Part of our problem in today's society is that the sugar industry has taught us to believe that fats are super bad. So ever since we were told that saturated fats were bad for all these years, we started migrating away from them, and we started having more starches and carbs and grains and sugars. And guess what? Our mitochondria suffered. Energy is at an all-time low for people throughout the world right now, and especially in the Western culture, because we aren't getting enough fats to actually fuel the mitochondria. Well, what if we could actually get our body to utilize fats for fuel so the mitochondria can function, we can have energy. More energy equals better decisions, more mental clarity, more energy in the gym. Deprive your body of dietary carbs and increase the fats, and you become the lawnmower, primed to use fats for fuel. Or maybe you're a leaf blower, or maybe you're a tractor, but something that has to be primed. When you don't find your problem foods first, though, the results from ketosis can only be short-term, and they'll leave you like this guy. You'll grow a beard. No, you'll just be disappointed. But basically what I mean is that if you are in ketosis, you're in a fat adaptive protocol, and I can explain all this in detail later, and you start eating a food that you have an issue with. Let's say, for example, almonds again. Okay, I will have some almonds from time to time. I know they're not great for me. I still love them. If I'm in ketosis and I eat some almonds, I'm kind of shooting myself in the foot. Even though they're a ketogenic friendly food, I'm still causing myself an issue because I have identified that almonds are a problem. So ketosis can be exacerbated in a positive way by having the right foods and knowing what works for you. One of the biggest benefits of a fat adaptation lifestyle is reduced inflammation through what's called beta-hydroxybutyrate. Okay, fancy talk again, but it's something that's produced by the liver when you're in ketosis. BHB is anti-inflammatory in and of itself. So meaning if you're in a fat adaptation using a ketogenic style of eating, you end up having a reduction of inflammation. So if we are still eating foods that trigger inflammation, then we defeat one of the major purposes of ketosis. All these people promoting ketosis because you can eat bacon and cheese and all this, but they forget the fact that they have a sensitivity to dairy. That's why you have to follow the protocol that I set forth. You have to identify your foods first. That is step one before anything, even if it means spending a little bit of time. So I've done the work for you in this. This is like where just basically I'm laying it out that I've created programs. I've created the Reboot, which is that 7-day program. I've created the Organic Health Protocol, which is the whole reintroduction of all the foods, learning that. Then I've created the Vitality Protocol, which is literally a scientifically backed program on foam rolling and yoga to turn your lymphatic system into a fat burning machine. And then, of course, everyone knows my Adaptive Body Boost, the major ketogenic protocol that I was just out in New York and got a chance to talk to Fox 5 in New York about it, and pretty amazing stuff. Of course, I've written a bunch of recipes as well. Let me explain what some of these are, just so that you have an understanding. And whether or not these are programs that you've used or you've heard of or you even want to use or don't want to use, it still gives you a lot of insight into how you can apply this going forward. So the 7-day detox protocol is proven to help with inflammation and get your body underway. So the idea here is to reset your metabolism so that you can reintroduce foods and know which foods work for you and which ones don't. I've actually sold over 65,000 copies of that Reboot alone, just because it's very popular and everybody knows about inflammation. I'll pop back over really quick over to the main screen here again. So yeah, I mean, I'm going to explain like all the different processes that I've done before, with the Reboot, with the OHP and all those, and how they all kind of lead into one another in terms of adopting this overall lifestyle. So what I had done is basically over the last 3 or 4 years, I've built just about every kind of strategy that goes in a particular sequence to attack these things. Now, I wanted to share these with you because I think they're pretty fascinating. I'm not here to pitch anybody or anything like that. That's not really my purpose, but I definitely want to at least share these things. So I wanted to pop back over here really quick, turning the screen share back on here, and I will show you a little bit more about what I'm going to read some of these. Like, lost 8 pounds and 3% body fat on the 7-day Reboot, prepping today to start the 6-week Organic Health Protocol. I completed my 7-day detox yesterday and lost 9.2 pounds in 7 days. This solely is just to show you the impact of what rebooting and reducing inflammation does. We need to be aware of inflammation. I can't believe it, how much better I feel. I can't wait to see what happens in the next 6 weeks. I've never lost that much in a week before. My adrenal fatigue is on the mend. I'm glad I clicked on the, awesome, just amazing things, right? This person dropped from a 42 down to 38 pant sizes. Amazing there. The Organic Health Protocol. So this is the 6-week program that goes after the Reboot. Okay, a step-by-step diet plan teaches you how to incorporate foods into the diet to learn which ones affect you. Everything I explained about, even just the basics I gave you, like going clean slate and then reintroducing foods. You have enough from this webinar to do this on your own if you really wanted to. But this, I actually laid it out, like, here's how you introduce the food step by step. Of course, there's exercise protocols that help modulate inflammatory markers in the body too, so you can absorb more. And a small taste of what people see during the reintroduction phase. You start learning these things. Someone says, 5 weeks in, and I want to thank Thomas for his incredible program. I've been a healthy eater and avid CrossFitter. And I just thought it was some really good positive words. Rico's testimonial there was just amazing. What he did in a short amount of time was nothing short of amazing. But now, what I teach you in the workout portion, okay, step-by-step instructions and over 40 plus videos. That's my Vitality Protocol, showing you how to foam roll for lymphatic drainage, performing yoga for fat loss and inflammation, ab workouts and cardio circuits that are all designed to go and coincide with the 6-week program. So essentially, you go from Reboot, you reset your body, and then you're adding the right kind of foods in and learning what works for you in a systematic approach. And then you can go ahead and start adding the right kind of exercise as well. Here's an idea of what it looks like. So a couple pages of it. The Vitality Protocol, you see I've got the workout portion here with different ab exercises. All these have 40 plus videos too. The yoga programs created by Amber and I, the foam rolling program, really just detailed stuff. And then next you transition into the fat adapted lifestyle with the ABB, okay? And what that is a step-by-step program to teach you how to indoctrinate fats to make yourself the lawnmower again into your diet so that you can actually eat the tasty things and still lose weight and stay healthy. And that's a 14-day program that's scientifically built by me to get your body on track for the long haul. So you've gone from Reboot, 7-day reset, introducing the foods, introducing the right exercise, getting rid of the old stuff you used to do, and then transitioning in to a 14-day program. So you see what I mean? This is a lifestyle program. This is all about taking a lifestyle all the way through and actually learning what you can do for the long haul. This can give you an idea of what you see on the Adaptive Body Boost. Straight up meal plans based on weight and everything like that. So in talking about different foods, I mean, very, very in-depth and very, very detailed with what you need to eat. You're probably not going to find much that's a lot more detailed than that. But what about for the rest of your life? That's what I want to talk about here today, really. Okay, those are programs that I've created, and those are great. But now that your body has learned to use fats for fuel to help the mitochondria, your body's energy powerhouse, what do you do to sustain it? Well, that's where I'm really happy about the Keto Infusion program. That's the long-term program I created that teaches you not necessarily just what to eat, but how you implement this thing into everyday life, what you do long-term, how you make this your life, teaching you what to get at restaurants, teaching you what to get when you travel, those kinds of things, because that's so important. No one is talking about that stuff. This is a little sneak peek at what that 6-week keto program, the lifestyle program, looks like. You know, we've got the chicken caprese salad recipes. We've got all these things that are just nothing short of amazing. And it really is just super powerful. So let me pop back over just to say hi to everybody again. Great. All right. So I'm just explaining. I've had a couple people come in and out, so I just want to explain again. Basically, talking about the 7-day reboot, reduce the inflammation so your body can heal, and then you're adding the foods back in so that you can learn. Now, if you're doing this on your own, this way you can understand that. Okay. But basically, then transitioning into a fat adaptation profile where your body is able to leverage ketosis to burn a lot more fat. Okay. Ends up working a lot better. And I'm willing to open this up to questions in just a couple of minutes, but I do want to make sure that I finish up my presentation here because I've got a couple more things. So bear with me one second again. For all these. That 7-day reboot is $26. This is what I normally would charge for these things. And they're not cheap, okay? They contain a lot of videos and everything like that. But honestly, the whole purpose of being able to have you guys educated is so that I can share this with you in a way that you can implement it. And this right now, for those of you that are on this webinar, every single one of my programs that I've ever created with all my videos, in total, well over 100 videos, and the whole program, everything for $197. So I'm going to go ahead and leave this here for a second. These are some of the people that have made some huge changes. I mean, and these are all the programs you're getting with this. It's everything. I call it my magnum opus. It's like my life's mission, everything I've created. And I wanted to make sure that I explained it over webinars so that people could get the education, but so that they could also learn exactly what's going on. So what I'm going to do really quick, since you can see some of these, I'm going to pop back over. I'm going to turn off screen share for a second. You're going to see something come up. Okay, you should right now, if you're on this webinar, a buy now button might have just popped up. And that's for those of you that are watching to get this offer, okay? Now, I'm not like a hardcore sales guy. That's not who I am. I wanted to make this message out to help you guys and do it. You guys see my live broadcasts on Facebook all the time. I give free information away. That's not my style to sell my stuff, but these are things that I'm really, really proud of. And that's why I wanted to make sure if you actually took the time to sit through this webinar and learn things and you're learning a lot of information, take advantage of this offer because honestly, it's never going to be around again. Like I'm only doing this for this webinar. And we had a lot of people registered, a lot of people show up. So that purpose, you should see it. It should pop up. It should say Simple Healthy Body, All Access VIP. That gives you the reboot. It gives you the organic health protocol. But the cool thing is it also gives you all the keto programs and the exercise programs and access to my support team so you can ask health questions as you go through it. You know me, I'm all about value. You guys have seen me on Facebook. I'm sure if you're watching this webinar, you've seen my stuff on Facebook, period. I mean, I'm everywhere. So I really hope that you take advantage of this, because this really is not going to be up for long. It's only going to be up for about 6 hours after this webinar. So I really want to make sure you take advantage of it now. And quite honestly, I mean, it would make me very happy to know that I gave you valuable enough information that makes you want to pull the trigger and make a move to change your life. So I really think that you're going to like this. And I'm really excited that you're here in the first place. So even if you don't take advantage of it, thank you very, very much for being here. But let me go ahead and show you a couple more things really quick, because I think you're testimonials here. And that's the end of the slideshow. I thought I had one more slide. My mistake. At least you know I'm real. Let me turn that back off. Turn webcam back on. Bear with me. To the room here. I know we've got still a lot of people here, so this is great. If there are specific questions, I am happy to answer them. I don't have a whole lot of time on this webinar, but I do want to be able to answer some questions. I really hope that you guys take advantage of that offer that popped up. I really, really do. I think you guys are going to get a lot out of it. Oh, cool. I'm getting messages that come in that, all right, Clarence just got it. That's awesome, Clarence. Thank you. And then we also have Tyler just got it. So thank you, Clarence. Thank you, Tyler. And then Melanie too. Thank you, Melanie. So already, I appreciate it, guys. Really appreciate you guys taking advantage of it. And so that's already 3 people that took advantage of it. So that's really, really cool. If you have questions regarding, is there a list to buy your programs individually? You have some already, not sure which ones. There are, but you'd have to go back to those individual pages and pay sort of the full price on them. So it's, and honestly, they've gone up in price over time just because supply and demand. So this was sort of just a package. Chances are you might get a better benefit out of just getting this, even if you've already bought one of the programs, because the total value of everything here, actually with the recipes that I'm also throwing in the bonus recipes, ends up being close to $400 in value. So you're getting half off. So it ends up being probably a much better selection there. If you have specific questions about what the Reboot does or what the ketogenic protocol does and how it works, you guys know me. I'm here to answer health questions. I just do want to stress that that program, that Simple Healthy Body All Access VIP Pass, is really only going to be available for those that watch this webinar. So you bought the Reboot, found that you couldn't eat all the breakfast options. Can I eat less than what you put in the program? It's good that you're asking a health question here about this, because it's really good. Yes, you can. Okay, and that's kind of the beautiful thing about taking advantage of these programs is the question you just asked me. When you buy the other programs, you can hop on and email support and actually get those questions answered too. That's part of the All Access Pass with all these programs. So taking you through that entire indoctrination, that entire lifestyle. I know the chat box is a little bit delayed, so I don't know, sometimes questions come in a little bit later. So if you guys do have questions, I'm going to have to start wrapping this up. Oh, cool. We also just got Kyle that just bought the program and Clarissa that just bought the program. So it's awesome. I'm making my day. So I'm really happy to see that. If you guys have any issues with hitting that page or anything like that, you should be able to just click on that button for the Simple Healthy Body All Access VIP that I put up there, and it will open it in another window. So it won't kill this webinar for you. It'll open it in another window. If you're on mobile, it may force you to exit, but I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here anyway. So for those of you that came on here, I really appreciate you taking the time. I really appreciate all of you guys being here. And I appreciate you guys, honestly, taking advantage of your health. Because if there's any one thing that you learned out of this, it's that you really need to find that one person, whether it's me or someone else, that you listen to when it comes to making changes to your life, and adopt one methodology. Because if you start applying so many different things, it just gets crazy. And again, I made it my life's mission to make this happen. And if we don't start standing up against inflammation and against all the things that are affecting our bodies, then nobody else will. And we really have to take advantage of this generation of information out there and use what we can to our advantage. So thank you guys very, very much. Thank you for taking advantage of this. We just had 2 more buyers come through. So thank you guys very much. Go ahead and hit it. Take that option. Take it while you can. Trust me, because otherwise it's just going to get more expensive. So I really appreciate it. You guys are phenomenal. As always, I will see you in the next video. and let's see you in all the programs. Let's get started today on the Reboot, on the OHP, on the Vitality, on the Fat Adaptation Protocol, and finally introducing the Keto Infusion Program, my magnum opus, my amazing group of products. You guys are outstanding, and I will see you soon.